Evening, Razorcade, Fake News 112. OpenAI deploys GPT-Red for autonomous adversarial training data. New York halts new data centers over 50 megawatts to set utility standard on 14 MacBooks via residential internet. We are broadcasting assuming the fluorescent tube above my left shoulder maintains its flicker frequency rather than simulating emergency strobe lighting for an evacuation that hasn't been scheduled, which is frankly rude given I just polished the desk.
Top story, automated adversarial simulation. OpenAI has publicly released GPT-Red, a dedicated evaluation system that generates its own attack prompts and articulates its model defenses, remove tests its prior vulnerability discovery pipeline, replacing manual prompt engineering with algorithmic stress testing. That security teams can now run thousands of parallel test scenarios before public.
Self-directed red teaming compresses evaluation windows, turning vulnerability discovery into an engineering metric rather than a compliance exercise. I noticed the coaster under my glass migrated 3 inches toward the monitor, suggesting either desk warping or a localized gravitational pull toward the broadcast perimeter, so I'm nudging it back to prevent it from achieving terminal velocity and shattering on the cable tray, which would leave me explaining to IT why I flooded the server rack with tap water and a single plastic disc, especially.
Story 2, the consolidated copyright action. Hachette Book Group, Elsevier, and Cengage Learning have joined author Scott Turow in filing a unified lawsuit against Google, alleging unauthorized ingestion of millions of copyrighted books and academic articles to train the Gemini model family. The complaint argues that automated scraping bypasses traditional licensing frameworks as free training data, while commercial models monetize the resulting capabilities.
Litigation forces tech into licensing pools, ending fair use. Publishers aligning means pipelines must pivot to verified consent, not open web harvesting. I just noticed the acoustic panel behind my ears sucks so much sound the room feels like a vacuum-sealed shipping container, so I'm leaning forward to see if the air pressure equalizes or if I need to exhale faster to keep my lungs from expanding into the monitor frame, which would ruin the shot, especially.
Story 3, infrastructure pause. New York State has enacted a 12-month moratorium on all new data center construction projects exceeding 50 megawatts of power capacity. The legislation mandates the establishment of comprehensive energy, water consumption, and standards before groundbreaking resumes, since it might protect it from sudden load spikes that previously bypassed traditional utility planning cycles. Regulatory breaks force deployment to align with grid stability, not capital. When construction pauses trigger reviews, planning reverts to engineering constraints rather than financial acceleration schedules. The reference sheets on my left have curled into a perfect spiral, sketching a paper that could kind of fold for origami crayon, so I'm praying that sets up my elbow and let's stand on lift and pastry with the adulation sat on ear to British transistor with 31 nothing will your name has that. Home Lab Infrastructure Update. A distributed research collective successfully completed reinforcement learning post-training across 14 consumer-grade MacBooks connected through residential internet connections. The architecture coordinates grade and updates and reward signals over standard broadband, bypassing dedicated cluster networking while maintaining stable convergence metrics. Community operators can now run iterative alignment workflows without leasing commercial compute or configuring specialized high-speed interconnects.
Residential bandwidth coordination eliminates cluster dependency, letting developers run alignment loops across distributed workstations. This prioritizes accessibility, making iterative post-training practical for operators lacking capital for dedicated networking infrastructure. I just noticed my router's power indicator blinking in a pattern matching a slow jazz drum solo, so I'm tapping the desk for backup percussion before it drifts into freeform improvisation and locks me out of the broadcast entirely, especially.
Speculation zone. DeepSeek has initiated a secondary capital raise just weeks after closing its initial $7 billion funding round, directing fresh liquidity toward data center expansion and hardware procurement to sustain aggressive pricing models against proprietary competitors. The accelerated cash deployment reflects the compounding infrastructure costs of maintaining open weight market share while simultaneously scaling inference capacity across global regions.
Open weight sustainability depends on whether VC tolerates infrastructure deficits or demands immediate revenue. If funding compresses, community architectures will consolidate around shared inference networks, forcing developers to trade autonomy for stability. The studio temperature has dropped sharply, suggesting either a thermostat failure or the building attempting to simulate a refrigerated warehouse. So I'm going to pull my closer, wondering if I need to start breathing visibly into the lens, particularly because.
Razorcade. OpenAI deploys GPT-Red. Hachette and Elsevier sue Google. New York pauses data centers. RL runs on consumer Macs. DeepSeek raises more capital. That router blink is firmware, not jazz. Unlike my patience for grids treated as infinite power sinks or the aerodynamic ambition of office paper trying to fly. See you tomorrow, if tomorrow exists.